Welcome back to the program. You're watching Focus on Africa. Now, the government of Thailand is trying to shut down dozens of criminal scam compounds which have boomed in recent years along its border with Myanmar by cutting electricity and tightening banking and visa regulations. The scam business is believed to earn the mainly Chinese crime bosses many billions of dollars every year and has trapped thousands in forced labor. In a frenzy of building on the Myanmar side of the border, one of the most ambitious projects is a newly built city of Shwekoku, a $15 billion investment promising casinos, luxury hotels and entertainment complexes. The BBC's Southeast Asia correspondent, Jonathan Head, was granted a rare visit.
Well, there are few places on earth stranger than this one. I mean, it looks just like a provincial Chinese city. There are Chinese characters on the sides of all the buildings and Chinese staff are running the place, yet this isn't in China. It's in Myanmar's Karen state, one of the poorest and most isolated parts of Asia, where an insurgent group has been waging war against the state for more than 70 years. So why has a Chinese company called Yatai built all of this? It's promising a $15 billion project complete with casinos, luxury villas and cyber parks. The reason, say Yatai's critics, is scam centres, human trafficking and money laundering. Yatai's boss, a Chinese man called Shiji Jiang, is currently languishing in a Thai prison wanted by the Chinese government for being a gambling kingpin.
Well, we've been driving around Shwekoku for a while now, and this really is the most extraordinary place. Technically, we are in the middle of a war zone in Myanmar, and yet the scale of the building, the ambition of this project is breathtaking. What's much less clear, though, is what the business model is. I mean, they say they've ended the scams and the human trafficking, but looking around at all this, you just can't figure out where the money's coming from to fund it. They've put up billboards promising that forced labour and human trafficking are not permitted. Yatai presents this as a safe, green city. At night, it lights up with the dazzling illumination of 9 casinos, supposedly for Chinese gamblers. But there are few visitors. From everything we've learnt about this city, scams are still almost certainly the main business.
The BBC's Jonathan Head there. Now, many of the victims trafficked come from Africa, mainly from Kenya, Uganda and Ethiopia. They end up selling scams in fake online brokerages and cryptocurrency platforms. To find out more, I spoke to Winnie Mutevu, the Advocacy and Partnership Manager for the not-for-profit Awareness Against Human Trafficking. It's a charity based in Nairobi and dedicated to fighting the issue in Eastern Africa.
The scams, I would say, essentially they became active, or when we got the wind of it was back in 2022, and is when we had the first group of Kenyans, and I would say actually East Africans, because we also had Ugandans and Burundians, who then had been trafficked to Laos and Myanmar. The initial intention for their travel was for job opportunities, so most of them were recruited with the job opportunities for them being able to work as IT experts. But then once they got to the final destination, which was now Laos, they ended up them being forced to scam individuals.
How come the authorities haven't been able to properly intervene? The authorities in Myanmar, in Laos, in Thailand and in neighboring countries, what's holding them back?
So I would say how the operations are more or less taking place in the different countries are being managed differently. So for the case of Myanmar, they are going through the civil war. And where we are having these compounds, they are essentially the area is being managed or controlled by the mafias. And so for access by the government is limited at this point. And that is why we are having a challenge on being able to see then how do we have rescue missions being conducted with support of the government. And so currently what is happening is a lot of negotiations being led by civil society organizations who are able to have discussions with these individuals looking into them being able to release the people that are being held in these compounds.
What do these rebels typically ask for to release someone who's gotten caught up in their ways?
You're looking at 5,000 USD to approximately 12,000 USD. So some of them, it depends on how much had to be paid for these individuals to be taken to these compounds. But then again, they're making a lot of income for them. So for their release, they're looking at them losing a source of income. So that is why it's becoming challenging for the release.
How concerned are African governments in regards to some of the things you're telling us? What are they doing to intervene?
I would say each country is responding independently. We don't have like a concerted effort on how Africa is responding. But looking into Kenya, we've had a lot of information that is being released through media platforms on their website, being able to caution people from really taking up some of these opportunities that honestly, they've been able to track and understand the patterns that are being used to lure people into these opportunities. So being able to share what are the warning signs, what are the red flags, and in case you really want to pursue an opportunity, how do you do due diligence?